Well, welcome. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. I'm excited to share this recipe using my Instapot that I've had for about 3 weeks, so it's been fun experimenting with that. My wife a couple weeks ago made apple crisp in the oven. It took her maybe 45 minutes or more to cook the apple crisp. And so I thought, well, you know, having the Instapot, why don't we give it a try and see how it would work. And so what I did is I have 4 apples here, and I have one. I'm going to add a pear this time to the apple crisp to add a little bit of sweetness. And then I'll be using 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and also a teaspoon of nutmeg. You could also add a little, maybe a tablespoon of brown sugar if you wanted to, but I'm probably going to be putting a drizzle of maple syrup on the end, so I'm going to opt not to use the brown sugar, try to keep my sugar to a minimum. Even with the apples and the pear cooked down, you may not even need you probably don't even need the maple syrup. It's going to be nice and sweet. So I have one more apple I have to finish cutting up, so I'm just going to keep it right up on the edge and just spin it right around. I normally eat these little apple cores when I'm done the video. Don't want to throw them away. And then maybe give a few more slices on the apple. And so I'm going to put those inside the pressure cooker. And then I also have a 1 cup of old-fashioned oats that I'm going to add to the mix. So let's take this pear. I tried to pick the ripest one that they had, so it's going to be interesting to see how it cooks down. That over there. So I'm just going to cut this up into some little sections. I also left the skin on, probably because I'm just too lazy to take the skin off. Plus I kind of like the extra fiber, the extra texture that it adds to the apple crisp. But you know, this time of year with the fall being here and the cold weather, you know, we all love apple crisp. And what's nice about this is that it's a nice healthy version. And so let's use this scooper and put the pear in there. But all these, the fruit's going to really fuse together real nice in the pressure cooker. So I'm going to pour in the 1 cup of oats, and then 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1 of nutmeg. Pour that in, and then I'm going to just pull this out of here and shake it up and mix it all together. Take a look in there. Smells real good. And then what I'm going to do is just take this cup of water and just gently pour it down in the pot. Now, before I was going to use this, around these rims on the pressure cooker, you want to make sure there's no food debris in there. I did some broccoli earlier, and I noticed a few chunks of broccoli, so I just wanted to show you a little trick that I devised. I just took a paper towel and rolled it up, and I'll just take an edge of the spoon here, and you roll that right around the rim to clean the rim out. So say you want to put it over here, clean the rim out, make sure there's no food in there. The food in there would prevent it from sealing. So then you can bring it over and just clean it out. We try to do things the smart way here. We really try to think about everything we do, put a lot of research behind it and study. And also on your seal here, you want to make sure that's always nice and clean so it seals real well. And so let's put the lid on here. We're going to close it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put this on the manual setting. So you just simply hit manual, and then it comes up at 30 minutes, and then we're just going to bring it down to 10 minutes. And there you go. It's going to turn on, and it's going to preheat. These have to reach pressure. Might take 10 minutes or more. It's kind of like when you use an oven. You have to, say you set it at 350, it's going to take 10 minutes maybe for it to reach temperature. And that's kind of the same way it is with your pressure cooker. It needs to reach about 12 to 15 pounds of pressure, and it takes maybe 10 minutes So once it reaches pressure, it's going to cook for 10 minutes. And then once it's finished 10 minutes, it's going to go for another 7 minutes, and then I'll release the pressure once that's done. And so anyhow, once the apples cook and so on, we'll meet you back here. Okay, well, the apple crisp is finished cooking. What happened is the first time I turned it on, I forgot to close that little knob, so it was still venting again. So, you know, having one of these pressure cookers, it's definitely a learning curve, you know, trial and error, just like anything else in life, you know. And so, anyhow, let's take a look inside. So what I had to do is I just restarted it again, and since it had already cooked some, I reset the pressure for 5 minutes and then did a quick release. And so, also what I did too is I had only added 1 cup of water to this batch. It seemed like with the oats, all the oats in the bottom, the oats sucked up all the moisture, so it didn't allow it to really pressurize the first batch. And so when I made the apple crisp the other night, I put the apples in the pot and then the oats on top of the apples. And so the oats really didn't go to the bottom to soak up the water. And so, but when I made this batch, I mixed all the apples and the oats, and so the oats ended up at the very bottom, kind of like a sponge, soaking up that 1 cup of water. So I had to go back and add another cup of water to that in order for it to build up steam. And so, again, just part of that learning curve. So I probably ended up using 2 cups of water in this batch, rather than the original 1 cup. And so let's open the lid up. I released all the pressure. And so we can take a look inside. It looks like all the flavors are fused together really nicely. And so but what happened too is on that first batch, when I didn't add enough water, it tended to let everything stick a little bit to the bottom. But this looks really good. You know, you could also add raisins to this, or walnuts on top, if you wanted to add some extra flavoring to that. And so Howie and I, my son-in-law, my cameraman, we're looking forward to having this. We had the steamed broccoli over potatoes for lunch, and so this is going to be a wonderful little snack for us. And so do you want to take a nice close-up of that? And so